On a dark winter's night, a ghost walks the grounds of Elsinore Castle in Denmark. Seen by a watchman, he brings it to the attention of Hamlet's BFF Horatio and describes the ghostly figure he has seen with impeccable detail. At that moment, the ghost reappears, startling the men. It looks like it's about to speak, but disappears again as a rooster crows. Horatio decides to tell Hamlet. The ghost resembles the recently deceased King Hamlet, whose brother Claudius has inherited the throne and promptly married the king's widow and Hamlet's mother, Queen Gertrude. Hamlet continues to mourn for his father's death and laments his mother's lack of loyalty. The next night, on the stroke of midnight, the ghost appears to have frightened Hamlet, claiming indeed to be the ghost of his father. He tells Hamlet that Claudius seduced his once virtuous mother and murdered him by pouring poison in his ear when he was asleep. The snake that stung his father is now wearing the crown. Hamlet swears an oath of vengeance for his father. Hamlet decides to fake madness in an attempt to provide himself with proof that the ghost is telling the truth about his villainous uncle. Charming. Polonius comes to court. Claudius and Gertrude are worried about the prince's erratic behaviour. Polonius suggests that Hamlet may be crazy in love with his beautiful daughter, Ophelia. Meanwhile, to be or not to be, that is the question. Ophelia! May I continue? Claudius and Polonius spy on Hamlet in conversation with Ophelia. She gives him one of the love letters he wrote for her, but Hamlet denies to remember ever writing her letters or truly loving her, rejecting the poor girl and breaking her heart. A group of travelling actors arrive at Elsinore. Hamlet, using this to his advantage, comes up with a plan and decides to write a play. The play will include a scene which mimics the murder of Hamlet's father. If Claudius is guilty, he will surely react. At the performance later that evening, the actors take to the stage. Gertrude and Claudius welcome the upcoming entertainment. Hamlet watches Claudius closely. Tensions arise as the performance starts. The play provokes his uncle, who storms out. Hamlet takes this as proof and decides Claudius is guilty for his father's murder. He goes to kill Claudius, but finds him praying, so decides to spare his life for the moment so Claudius doesn't go to heaven. Hamlet makes his way to his mother's bedchamber. Polonius hides behind the tapestry to protect her from an unpredictable son. When Hamlet arrives, he scolds his mother for betraying the memory of his father with his deceitful uncle. At that moment, he hears Polonius moving behind the tapestry. Taking no chances, he stabs the tapestry. Polonius is fatally injured and falls from his hiding place. Hamlet, thinking it was Claudius, quickly realizes his mistake. Polonius is dead. Claudius banishes Hamlet to England with orders for the King of England to put Hamlet to death on arrival. Hamlet learns of this and returns to Denmark, putting the king's conspirators, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, to death in his place. In the aftermath of her father's death, Ophelia goes mad with grief and tragically drowns in the river. Polonius' son Laertes, who's been staying in France, returns to Denmark in a rage to avenge his father's death. On returning to Denmark, Hamlet, conveniently, ends up hiding out in a graveyard and learns of Ophelia's death. Realizing his mistake, he interrupts the funeral, declaring he has always loved her. I'm not crying, you're crying. Claudius concocts a plan to use Laertes' desire for revenge to secure Hamlet's death. Laertes will fence with Hamlet in innocent sport, but Claudius will poison Laertes' blade, so if Hamlet is wounded, he will die. If Hamlet is to win, as a backup, the king puts poison in a goblet, which he will give Hamlet to drink in celebration, sealing his death. What could possibly go wrong? The sword fighting begins. Hamlet wins the first couple of rounds. Claudius tries to get him to drink from the goblet, but is unsuccessful. Then Hamlet is scratched by the poison blade. The plans go awry when Gertrude unwittingly drinks from the poison cup. Who's this? Excuse me, sir, I wouldn't drink that if I... Oh dear. As the poison enters her system, she collapses, taking her last few breaths. That's it. Let it out. Hamlet realizes he's been betrayed and picks up the poison blade. He wounds Laertes, who instantly knows his fate. After revealing to Hamlet that Claudius is responsible for the queen's death, Laertes dies. Hamlet then stabs a panicked Claudius with the poison blade and forces him to drink down the rest of the tainted wine. Hamlet watches over Claudius as he drinks and starts to slowly, very slowly, choke and die. Hamlet, after finally achieving his revenge, collapses to the ground and takes his final breath. Now, a noble heart is breaking. Good night, sweet prince. May hosts of angels sing you to sleep. Oh my god. You're absolutely so... Oh my god, I thought I was going to drop it. That was so scary.